Hello, I'm Annie, and today I'm going to answer some questions from my TikTok viewers.
The first one is on kitchen accent walls. Any ideas for a kitchen accent wall?
Accent walls are tricky for sure. So I think my first question is, which wall are we talking about? Because the best accent wall in general is a wall that is unbroken. So a wall that doesn't have doors, doesn't have windows, just like the wall you see when you walk into a room, just a nice big square wall. So if your kitchen is like mine, kind of a galley kitchen with like cabinets and stuff on either side, and then you have a big wall here facing you right when you walk in, that might be a really good accent wall. That could be a great wall for wallpaper or, doing a whole bunch of photographs or something like that. Just something to give it some presence. I think painting it a contrast color is not enough. I feel that way generally about accent walls, but I hope that kind of addresses the question. Hard to answer without actually knowing the space, but I hope that's a little helpful.
Can you talk about the different considerations for picking the size and hanging location for Roman shades?
Ah, interesting. So size-wise, you have two options with Roman shades, okay? You can do inside mount or outside mount, and those are basically what they sound like. Inside mount, you really have to have enough depth in the inside of the window frame to be able to hang the shade so it doesn't project out so much. I've done it. Some people don't mind if it projects out, but you have a lot of mechanisms up there, Some people don't mind if it projects, but then when it folds flat or it's unfolded, you have a lot of gap between the actual shade and the window, and I don't know, it doesn't always look great. But then you have two outside mount options. You can mount it on the woodwork, which some people are really reluctant to do. They don't want to drill holes in the woodwork. I don't really have a problem with it, but you can hang it on the woodwork so that it covers the woodwork, and when the shade is totally down, you don't see the woodwork. That works especially well when you have a small window because it just kind of makes it feel bigger and grander. Then if you have a window that is sort of short, like it isn't too near the ceiling, you can hang a Roman shade not on the molding, but on the wall above the window. This is a trick we do all the time. So you hang the shade on the wall above the window and you leave the fabric down so it covers the top molding. And it's this illusion of it makes the window look super, super tall. So inside mount, outside mount, and you have two options with the outside mount. I'll say one other word too. If you have a double window, you do have the option of doing two single Roman shades or one long Roman shade. Our window treatment fabricator really prefers doing the single big shade, but you do have to keep in mind that they get heavy. I mean, if you've used a heavy fabric, it can be heavy. And so you don't expect like decorating-y things to have things like weight, but it can be heavy. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding how many shades to do.
Recommendations on where to purchase Roman shades.
Right. So I think Roman shades are very, very difficult to buy off the shelf. The best window treatments, I think, to buy off the shelf, like truly from a store, are probably curtains because they're very forgiving. So you put the rod above the molding or on the molding, and then if you need to hem them, you can, or they go to the floor and they drape a little on the floor. Not a fan of puddles, but if they're a little broken, I'm not going to, be too upset about that. But Roman shades, I know Pottery Barn for a while like sold actual Romans. I just don't think you're going to get a good look. It's not going to fit perfectly. I just can't believe that it would ever look tidy. Roman shades are very tidy. And unless you're really doing them made to measure, I just worry. I think another kind of window treatment might be better. All of that said, the Shade Store, capital T, they do semi-custom window treatments. So you can measure yourself. They have very good directions, I think, on their website. Or they will send someone to measure, and then, you choose one of their fabrics and blah, blah, blah. Not inexpensive, not inexpensive. Recently, I did a comparison of my very custom window treatment fabricator, and then we also priced the Shade Store for the exact same thing. The Shade Store was much more expensive, much. So that was a little baffling. All of that said, things like natural woven Roman shades, I would buy those from mine upstairs are from the Shade Store, as a matter of fact. So, if you're going to do Roman shades, I think you have to go custom or semi-custom and just kind of shell out a little bit. But curtains can be another really good option, and they're less expensive to do just from a store.
A question about curtains. I have Plantation shutters. Do I need curtains over them?
You don't need, it really depends. So I don't know if you have plantation shutters on the top and the bottom of your window. First of all, I'll just start by saying, not the hugest fan of really thick plantation shutters. People think they're neutral and they're not neutral. Like the really big slats, those have a presence in a room. So I am a fan, I'm warming up a lot these days to shutters in general, but narrower slats and stained wood, actually. Really, really like lovely warm look. All of that said, let's assume that these are white plantation shutters, and let's also assume that you only have them on the bottom half of your window, okay? If you have them on the bottom and the top, there is no need for anything else. I just think it would make them look softer to have some kind of curtain or even a Roman shade hanging above. But let's pretend that you only have a plantain shutter on the bottom. We're actually doing this for a client right now. We're doing plantation shutters, or not plantation, but shutters on the bottoms of bedroom windows and then curtains. So during the day, you can have it open and see the sky, but when you need privacy at night and real darkness, because you can close shutters, but you'll always see a little bit of light. So then at night you can close the curtains and you'll have real darkness. So it's really a matter of preference. You don't need them, but I think it really softens the look and it does give you flexibility in terms of, light control.
This is going to be a radiator question.
Ooh.
Punk Rock Pizza Rolls wants to know, what do you recommend when you have a radiator under just one window in the room?
I think I don't quite understand what you mean by a radiator under just one window. I'm going to assume maybe you mean that you don't have a radiator cover that goes all the way across 3 windows. If it is an old radiator, I have all the radiators in my house exposed. I mean, I think they're perfectly fine looking. I have painted them myself in many cases with a metallic paint. A lot of painters just kind of paint the radiator the trim color and call it a day. I kind of like to use this paint called Modern Masters, which has a metallic finish and comes in lots of different colors. I don't actually know if you're supposed to use it on radiators, but these radiators have been painted for 15 years and they've never bubbled or flaked or anything like that. So I'm just gonna go with it. But I would just kind of paint it, acknowledge that it's there and not worry about it. Just call it a day. You don't need to pay for expensive radiator covers. I hope that was the gist of what you were asking.
This person, it feels like they're responding to one of your, I feel like this might have been a comment on a video where you said something about side tables, because they're saying,
okay.
Shouldn't side tables be around the same height of arm on chair?
Of arm on chair? Yeah, I actually, yes, and I hope that I say that rather consistently. It's one of those things where if you open any magazine and start... If you're me and you open any magazine, everything will drive you crazy. But if you will see side tables at all different heights. So a sofa arm or chair arm can be about 24, 25 inches high, let's say. A lot of side tables are 27 inches high. I don't love that. I don't love it. It's not a perfect world, so I ask that we all be flexible.
These next 2 questions kind of couple off of each other, so I'm
Okay.
going to ask you both of them.
Okay.
The first is, what are some things you would do for a photo shoot, like when staging a home, that you wouldn't actually do when decorating someone's space? And then the other question was, and if you wouldn't use it in a house personally, why would you use it in a photo shoot?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Oh, my gosh. What would I do in a photo shoot? Like, I would do nothing in real life that I do for a photo shoot. Photo shoots are so fake. They're so fake. Everything about, I could go through my entire portfolio and tell you, oh, in this one, we propped the chair up on books. Oh, in this one, that chair is like right under the camera. And this one's in the next room. Like it is a funny, funny thing. I mean, photographs are not real life. And so, I mean, specifically talking, let's think of an example. I mean, furniture placement is totally cockamamie. So that has no bearing on real life versus photographs. In terms of staging, I think, photo shoots are a little bit precious, right? It's one moment in time. And so you have things just looking perfect. You might have an open cookbook and then a coffee cup and then, perhaps an orange over here. That's just never going to be real life, So first of all, I think for photo shoots, I generally have less. I have fewer things in photo shoots than I do in real life, because in real life, it's real life and we have to live. And so we have a lot of stuff. So that's kind of thing one. I would say that most photo shoots are more spare than real life. Let me think of something else. I manipulate pictures, art all the time. I just did a photo shoot and I was so proud of myself. I got the perfect painting for over the fireplace. The one the clients had was awesome, but it wasn't reading well. It was too soft and it wasn't reading well in the camera. And I knew that would happen. So I borrowed one from a gallery, got it there. It was a little too small. And so we did make the painting a little bit bigger in post-production. So that's another thing. I just think in photographs, everything is super stagey. I mean, it should look perfect. I mean, it is an image and things have to, be in the right place. The placement is going to be all strange. I always get nervous when clients are around for photo shoots because I have to tell them like, I love your stuff. Believe me, I decorated this. Like, I think it's all beautiful and perfect, but it's not reading well. So we have to manipulate it. But sometimes they're like, wait a minute, you decorated this. I thought it was great. And I'm like, it is great, but we had to change everything for the photo shoot. So I hope that answers your question. Not real life. Let yourself off the hook.
The next question is about gallery walls.
Okay.
How do you make a gallery wall cohesive if you have different styles of art? This person gives the example, they have Monet prints, and then they also have super modern pieces, and they love them all.
Oh, gallery walls. I wish there were rules about gallery walls. Various websites try to give you rules. I think Minted may have tried to give you rules at some point. Martha Stewart might have a thing or two to say about them. In terms of where to hang things, there are no rules, and that's really frustrating because I would love to tell you what they are, but there are no rules for that. In terms of your question and mixing different styles, I think if you add more to the wall, you have a better chance when things don't match. So I would love to know how many pieces we're talking about. If we're talking about 2 Monet prints and 2 modern things, they may not fit together at all. But if you have like more than that, if you bring in something else completely to get it up to 5, 6, 7, odd numbers are easier to work with. If you bring in more items, then to have things be really disparate matters less. It's very strange. A little trick that I do sometimes, and I do have this rule about no more than 2 mirrors in any room, 2 or 3. Not too many mirrors in a room. However, in a gallery wall, if you're really stuck, you can buy different mirrors, like smallish mirrors with different frames, and kind of use those as art interspersed to kind of help you fill out the wall. But in your case, you are going to need more pieces of actual art that varies in size. So I'm sorry that's not the most concrete answer. You can make it work, but it's going to take a little bit of effort. And you can always just divide them up and hang them somewhere else. Don't do a gallery wall with them. Hang the Monets over here, hang one modern there and one modern there. Doesn't have to be a gallery wall.
So last year, we had identified the fandelier as the burn it piece of the year. Like you see it on site, burn it, take it down, throw it in the trash.
Yes.
What would you say from 2023 or maybe a trend you're seeing coming around the next year is
Right.
your burn it, throw it in the trash, take it down moment?
Take it down moment. Well, I will say I am very, very tired of boucle. Very tired of everything being, not everything, but a lot of furniture being upholstered in boucle, which I hope you know what that is, but it's kind of a textury, nubby wool. It's great for like Chanel suits and, other items of clothing. It's had a moment. It's kind of timeless on the one hand because it's just wool and it's beautiful, but it did see a big trend. It was very trendy this past year, maybe even the year before. And I personally am tired of it. So I think that is one thing that can go. Another thing that it's hard to say, but curved furniture has been in and, kind of continues to be in for 2024. But there's curved and there's curved, right? So there's curved as in rounded corners. But then there is curved as in like something with a half circle. Like I'm thinking of maybe a bar cabinet. And the top is a complete half circle, which is very 70s, right? That sort of half circle shape, very 70s. I could see that go. And I'm a child of the 70s. I love the 70s, but not perhaps so much in my furniture. So that's something I could see go too. Bottom line though, if you still love it, have it in your house. I hope that was helpful. Keep those questions coming. Now that I have a YouTube channel, I would love to hear from you here. And I love answering this kind of question. I really hope that the answers help you. And so, post questions, leave me comments, let me know what you'd like to see more of, and, follow and all that stuff. You know what to do. Thank you.